I'm Agam Vakil. It's been a tremendous day of trade for the benchmarks, where a lot of traders and investors may have expected a bit of a pause for the climb that the Nifty has seen. Well, it's been a surprise for a lot of bulls and bears, considering the Nifty is currently up another 1.3% and now comfortably above the mark of 11,100, 11,162 points to be precise at this point, up 140 points. And a lot of these gains are on the back of, well, the banking sector, along, of course, with some of your OMCs, which are actually participating in this rally. You do have Power Grid, however, which is right at the top of the Nifty. We have gains in BPCL, Indian Oil Corp. From the auto sector, we have names well, such as Aisha Motors and Maruti Suzuki also well, participating in the rally. And we also have something like an ICICI Bank advancing in trade. On the losing end, we have Bajaj Finserv, Bajaj Finance, well, possibly profit taking after Bajaj Finance came up with earnings. And of course, Britannia and Bharti Infratel looking at a little bit of decline. But today's day of trade belongs to those advancers out there. As you can see, a lot more momentum building there. Let's talk about the broader markets, the NSE 500 to be specific, where we have seen a lot more traction. And there are a lot of mid cap and the small cap companies out there which are starting to see a lot more in terms of gains, in terms of momentum on the back of good volumes too. And as we know that over the past few days, you already know and seen that fund flows have changed for the positive, especially from the foreign institutional side. Today, in terms of the advanced decline ratio, it's fairly evenly poised between, well, gainers and losers, even though a few more gainers as compared to losers. You do have the likes of Kolte Patil, Bank of Maharashtra, Piral Enterprises as well, up another 11%. Look at that one. Hathway Cable locked in the upper circuit of 9%, 10%, and Suntech Realty and Central Bank of India, among many others, also looking at good gains coming in. Sterlite Technologies is a curious one because that was under pressure today. It did see a lot of momentum off late, but today it was down nearly 13%. Vodafone Idea, Capri Global, and Venky's India also under a tad bit of pressure. But on the whole, it's turned out to be a good day of trade. Let's get in our markets editor, Niraj Shah, for his thoughts on how he is reading into things. Niraj, good afternoon.
Day of trade today, Agam. It's played out as per script, to be honest, because we spoke about these possibilities of this happening in the morning as well. That we'll have a trending day today, possibly, and that the bank Nifty could outperform the Nifty, and that's exactly how it's played out. Now, this is despite Reliance Industries having a good day, so that speaks volumes about what some of the financial names did. But I think the larger point is that the global markets are in a bit of a tizzy on the upside. So the European markets are up and about because EU leaders have reached an agreement to reach the recovery fund deal as well. And as a result of that, DAX in particular, the FTSE, CAC as well, and some of the other peripheral European markets are not doing badly. So that entire set of names have actually done reasonably okay for themselves in the session. Today, as I said, it was Bank Nifty and Reliance which continue to support the Indian market. And despite lack of participation from information technology today, we had a pretty decent outing. And you have to keep an eye out on the dollar index. I mean, that if you look at the 1 month uh, perspective on the dollar index, that's really come off. So almost anything that is benchmarked against that in terms of risk or otherwise has gained in the last few days, and India is no different. The key is that today we had a lot of side pockets performing as well. I mean, ACC numbers came out decent, and you had Ambuja, India Cements, and that whole cement pack do well too. So therefore, a lot of individual traction that we saw in a bunch of these names. Agam spoke about Hathway. So Hathway and then the last couple of days on the back of the numbers have done well. We've had more positives than negatives, to be honest, in the last few days on the results fronts and otherwise. But let's wait and watch. If Axis numbers turn out to be slightly patchy or HUL numbers turn out to be patchy, then you don't know what happens to move. Agam, we'll watch out for HUL too.
I certainly do watch out for HUL. We're not expecting a crackling quarter, but we must remember that the GSK's well acquisition comes into HUL this time around, which is why prima facie the numbers will not be as bad as one might expect. So if you look at just the expectations, we're not going with too much in terms of HUL. Perhaps a 2% decline in revenues and not too much change in its operating margins either. What we are keeping an eye on is that excluding the GSK acquisition, volumes could dip as much as perhaps 7 to 9%. If that is not the case, and of course, if GSK once comes into the to play, it will be a lot less in terms of 1.5%. But we must remember that whatever benefits that HUL gets in this particular quarter will be because of GSK's products coming into the fold, and that will potentially push the portfolio ahead for Hindustan Unilever. So we'll be watching out for that. On the whole, overall, as I've suggested, as far as the markets go, I did say that the markets have been stretched to a certain extent. The Nifty put call ratio at this point in time does seem like the Nifty is in no part zone, but you can never tell, because tomorrow onwards we may very well have that change in the calls, and that may actually lead the put call ratio to come off, whereas the Nifty may stand where it is. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we are likely to see any selling anytime soon. It's a wait and watch. A lot of variables to keep an eye on, especially in the power copy. So we'll be keeping an eye on that one. Well, but on that note, it's a wrap on the markets, but there's lots more lined up. Stay tuned.